Hey guys, I'm Blunty, and a little sympathy and well-wishing would be appreciated right now, as I've more or less been completely immobilized by my chronic back pain over the last couple of days. No need to ask about the details or make suggestions about treatments I should try. I'm not a friggin' idiot. I've been dealing with this issue for many years, and I've tried stuff. Anyway, it's enough to say that it's a complete bitch, and every now and again it gets bad enough that I can barely walk. Which kinda sucks. On the bright side, not being able to do jack crap for a couple of days has given me the opportunity to swell the ranks of my Pokedex captures in Pokemon X. And yes, I'm still loving it every bit as I was when I reviewed it. And yes, I still think it's easily the best Pokemon game made to date. And yes, I think if you don't own it yet, you're a bit of a twit. Now, I've made many trades from all over the planet on the global trading system, and I've sent out a bunch of rare or version exclusive or just Pokemon with amusing jokey nicknames I've given them out on the Wonder Trade system, which blindly trades a chosen Pokemon with something random that someone else has sent out. And I've gotten quite a few useful or interesting trades that way too. Some very rare stuff, some version exclusive stuff, all the starters, and it's awesome fun, especially recently now that more people have completed the main game and are hunting and breeding more interesting Pokemon to share around than perhaps in the first few days where people were just sending around stuff you found in the first couple of areas. It's a bit like a lottery, except it doesn't cost you any money. You win when you score a Pokemon you didn't already have or is otherwise interesting in some way, like the ones that have been chain-bred to have unusual inherited movesets. But as far as I've gotten in filling up my Pokedex with regular captures and breeding and trades of various type, and my Pokedex is closing in on 400 as I'm making this video, there is one area which I really need help with, and that's the new Friend Safari. For those of you unfamiliar with this new type of Safari Zone, let's bounce across the basics and get to grips with why this new Safari Zone is much more awesome than its progenitors were. Now, unlike the Safari Zone in the previous generations of games, there is no longer a large field with various areas for catching various preset Pokemon types. No longer is there a time limit, or more technically speaking, a step limit, as that's how that was measured back in the day. Also gone is the preset amount of special Safari Balls, and that stupid throwing bait or rocks thing we used to have to do. This Safari Zone lets you wander around a small pen of grass for as long as you like. You battle and capture exactly the same as you would in a normal grass patch, and you can use whatever Pokeballs you have. It is in every way so much better and so much more pleasant than the old way of doing the Safari Zone thing. Which was, I guess, a bit refreshing, but in the end it was just frustrating with these silly limits and silly techniques for trying to catch Pokemon and stuff. Anyway, all of the Pokemon you encounter in the Friend Safari here are level 30 and have 2 IVs at 31. If you don't know what an IV or individual value is, have a Google about it. You may be surprised at just how deep and complex this game can actually be. Especially those of you who keep insisting it's a kiddie game. And the Pokemon available in the Friend Safari are not even limited to the version exclusive Pokemon, so there's a chance you can get Y exclusive Pokemon in your X game and vice versa. Plus a whole swag of Pokemon not available within either game anywhere else, at least not until next month when the Pokemon box launches and people can start trading Pokemon from the Black and White series. So this is all awesome, but the catch is this: you need to have exchanged friend codes with people to access the Friend Safari. See, the name makes sense now, doesn't it? The more people you have on your friends list, the more different Pokemon you can obtain in the Friend Safari. Every person you add gives you the chance to battle and catch up to 3 different Pokemon, and every person has a Pokemon type assigned to them, generated by some mystical Nintendo algorithm, based presumably on their trainer number or something. Mine, for example, as I discovered last night thanks to Digital Hazard, is Bug type, and my friend code delivers Combi, which itself isn't that hard to find in the main game, but also Beautifly, which is quite rare I'm told, and I don't think you can catch at all in the main game anywhere, and best of all, the mighty Heracross. But the thing is this, even if you get a zone that has Pokemon you can normally catch elsewhere, there's still an incentive for catching them in the Friend Safari, because there's a chance here that these Pokemon can get their hidden abilities. And again, if you don't know what hidden abilities are, Google it. But in many cases, it can make a given Pokemon very desirable indeed, and superbly useful in battle. And the chances of getting that hidden ability actually go up if you and the person whose Safari Zone you're in are online at the same time. But it doesn't even matter if the person you exchange friend codes with is playing Pokemon or not at all. You still get 2 Pokemon made available through them. Although there is a bonus if they too are Pokemon X or Pokemon Y players, because after they've beaten the Elite Four and both players are online, it unlocks the 3rd Pokemon in their Safari Zone. And that's often the best one, like in my case, with the mighty Heracross! But as you can see here, because historically I really don't play online at all with my 3DS, my friend codes are empty. I never really bothered adding people. It had no benefits for me to do so, and the friend code exchange system is kind of janky anyway, thanks Nintendo, so there was never a benefit that outweighed the hassle of trying to do it. Until now, obviously. I do have one guy in there now, the aforementioned Digital Hazard, who I swapped friend codes with last night after I was tweeting about Pokemon stuff. So, here's the bit where I take advantage of my relatively significant YouTube audience. On screen is my friend code. If you'd like to get access to my Safari Zone, and of course let me into yours, pop your friend code in a comment. And if you already know what type your code triggers, mention that, and what Pokemon you've got skittering around your friend's Safari Zone. I'll add as many of you as I can, but I may have to swap and change every few days if I get a whole bunch of you, as you can only register 100 friend codes at a time, I think. And I'll probably prioritise those of you with particularly cool friend Safari Pokemon, or obviously ones I really need to help complete my Pokedex. This is probably going to be a bit janky and confusing, but we'll try and make this work as best we can. And of course, feel free to arrange hookups with each other's friend codes in the comment section here as well, and share the poker love around. And as a final note, I'd like to say congratulations to Nintendo and Game Freak for this Friend Safari idea. Obviously, as I've just very clearly demonstrated, it's a powerful encouragement for players to connect and interact with as many other Pokemon fans and players as possible. Pokemon has always encouraged that with their version-exclusive Pokemon and Pokemon that can only evolve if you trade them and stuff like that, but nothing has allowed this kind of massive, worldwide community interaction, and it is really very clever indeed, and I think it deserves pointing out as a particularly wonderful idea, especially when so many online gaming communities these days are, well, let's just say less than ideal and less than friendly. Anyway, I am Blunty, thanks for watching. I'm off to try and catch 'em all.